Everyone good? Welcome, welcome. Oh man, we got a full house. I'm so excited. Yeah, help yourself. Yeah, you could move all the chairs around, whatever works for you. Feel free to grab some beeswrap stuff. They were very kind and donated all this stuff. Whoa.
Do we have any paper plates?
Oh my God. You scared me for a second. That was so casual too.
It's all about the delivery.
Yeah, it really is. Did you get some beeswrap, Sam?
What?
Beeswrap donated all this stuff. Yeah, they're giving me a ton of supplies. Yeah. So yeah, you could move it wherever.
Oh, is this your stuff?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks beeswrap. They have been amazing. Wow, I'm so happy. Thanks you guys for coming. This is so awesome to be able to educate everyone at VCET about sustainability. So I'll get started, and yeah, I'm pretty laid back with presentations. So if you guys have questions along the way, just let me know. I was going around and then also talking to lots of people about their questions with waste-free living and what's recyclable and compostable stuff. And I try to put everything in here, but that doesn't mean that I got all the questions that will come up. So let's get started. I'm Marina McCoy. I own Waste Free Earth, and we build sustainable strategies for events. It's my main passion. I've been living zero waste for 6 years, and I love the fact that we get to influence thousands of people at once. We do events from small community events to weddings to large-scale events up to 100,000 people per day. Some of our clients are MTV, Snow Globe. We do their New Year's Eve event out in Tahoe coming up. Killington World Cup is a new one. And we did Burlington Parks and Rec, their July 3rd event this year. And it went from producing 30 pounds of compost to over 800 after following our strategies, which was pretty cool. I have a little segment here because this made me super happy. I've been working with MTV, and they're giving out these like premier swag stuff, and this year it sucks because I banned koozies from the event because it just pollutes all the grounds. And we're different than typical waste management companies because we actually go into every single department of the event, and one of that is sponsorship. So I got this last night, and it made me so happy because they're giving out socks this year, and they already talked to the vendor because we don't allow individual packaging of plastic, and they thought I wouldn't approve the socks because of this little plastic tag. So it means that we got so into their heads about like every little part, like they're really reading our guidelines, and that made me happy because now we're gonna have 10,000 pairs of socks that they're giving out at the event that's not gonna be individually wrapped. We'll have these little plastic tags, but even when you shop secondhand, you can't escape those. So that was a big win for me, this little tag. I got it last night. It was awesome. And a lot of people ask me how I got started, if I've always been zero waste, and I definitely haven't. I have parents that are big over-consumers, that they use plastic water bottles, that we ate dinner on paper plates and had a lot of TV dinners. And I was studying graphic design when I first went to college and then switched over to sustainability. And I thought because I was studying sustainability, it made me uber sustainable when it doesn't. I wasn't practicing what I preached, and I had my big wake-up call in the summer of 2013. I was at this festival called the Friendly Gathering, just an hour south of my hometown in Rutland, Vermont. And it's kind of a high school reunion. So we were there, and I thought I was like this hippie chick studying sustainability, and we were walking back to our tent one night, and it was pouring rain. And the ground was super muddy, and these glow sticks were just getting ingested by the land. And this group of girls walks by and says how bad the glow sticks are for the environment and how toxic they were for the ground. And in my head, I was like, oh yeah, like fuck those glow sticks, they suck. But all of us walked past them without picking them up. And I got back to my tent and realized I didn't turn on any lamps or anything like that, but my tent was glowing. And so I looked myself from my head to my toe and realized I had glow sticks all over my body and glow paint. This is what I looked like in 2013. And from that moment on, I got really obsessed with living zero waste and wanting to make a difference, realizing that I was preaching all this stuff about being sustainable and trying to force corporations to change, but me as an individual consumer, I wasn't doing it. So fast forward to now, I lay in compost piles after we drop it off from the events, and my friends make memes out of them. So a complete full 180. Now I don't participate in glow sticks or like glow paint or anything like that. But just to kind of give you framework that this has been a slow process getting there, and 6 years later, I've been living zero waste. How I got started was, kind of messed up there, but Beth Terry, she's my idol. I discovered her in 2014 after the summer of 2013 when I realized that I was a hypocrite. And the following year, I went back to the Friendly Gathering and told them that I would love to do their sustainability operations. They ended up hiring me as a rockstar volunteer because they had no money. But then after that year, they ended up paying me, and I was with them for 5 years. And we went from producing 30 yards worth of landfill waste to just 1 last year, which is a huge decrease in waste because they followed all of our strategies. So it was really cool to give back to that event that I used to attend and be more sustainable. So after I did that in 2014, I was 20 years old when they hired me on to run their sustainability department. I just became so obsessed with waste and the overconsumption lifestyle, and I was watching a lot of TED Talks, and Beth Terry came up. And she had this amazing TED Talk about plastic-free living and her trials and errors throughout it. And I read her book, and ironically, a couple weeks later, she was coming to the library in Tahoe, which was really awesome. So I saw her in person, and the talks were really similar, but being able to see her in person and hear her stories, and then also hear her passion about why she does what she does. And she brought up these photos, which really hit home for me. And this is when I knew that I had to change, because I was interning for Protect Our Winters, which is a climate activist nonprofit, and we really focus on educating people on greenhouse gas emissions and trying to reduce our overall carbon footprint. And it was really hard for people to understand that because they can't really see the greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. So that's why there's a lot of climate deniers. But when I saw these photos, you can't deny this. This is our individual impacts having a negative impact on the environment. Like that's bottle caps, tampons, plastic sponges, like pens and caps of pens. So that's when it really woke up to me, and I was already practicing zero waste stuff, but this, I knew that I could make a change because this didn't just come out of nowhere. This is our convenience lifestyle products in action in a negative way. So I went home and inventoried all of my waste and decided I wanted to make a change, and like swapped out stuff that I could really swap out easily without adjusting my lifestyle too much. So then in 2016, I started collecting my waste. So this was my first waste experiment. This was a month worth of plastic waste that I produced. And it was really nice to see the impact that I was making, because I realized that a lot of this stuff was things that I could easily say no to. I'm a pretty outdoors person, and I thought that I couldn't go hiking or into the outdoors without granola bars, so I had all these granola bar wrappers. And it turns out you can go camping and backpacking without that stuff. You just have to plan a little bit more. And then I used to get a lot of stickers from the events that I was attending, and also concert wristbands and PLU stickers. But now I could fit all my plastic into 2 small jars. So this is all the plastic that I consume from January to June, and this is from July to now. It's still a lot of PLU stickers and concert wristbands. I go to a lot of shows, and like wrappers from, I love hot sauce, and so you get like the little wrapper at the top, but I get in a glass bottle. And locally, and some little plastic tags from secondhand shopping. But I've drastically has reduced my plastic consumption, and it definitely is possible once you do like a slow integration. I'm really all about that stuff. But yeah, I started there. That was a full mason jar, and I could definitely squish down the waste, but that was a really big turning point for me. Now we'll break it down into the cold hard facts so that you guys could understand why I do what I do, and hopefully it'll inspire you guys to do the same. This is what a typical landfill looks like. There's thousands of them all throughout the United States. I get asked a lot why I decide to live zero waste because I'm just an individual person, and when the corporations are the ones creating all of the waste, shouldn't they be the ones held accountable? All this stuff is household waste, so we definitely have a huge impact on the environment for our individual choices that we come to play every single day. So I really like to show this photo because I feel like we hate on corporations a lot, which rightfully so, but we're also creating the waste, and we live in a consumer-based society, so when we're supporting the corporations when we buy into them. Like, I haven't bought in McDonald's or any fast food stuff or granola bars in years now. 10 years for like fast food things, and that's me not supporting their choices and how they package stuff, because in the end 13% of the price for food is in the packaging. So when you start to live zero waste, you're actually saving on packaged items and money. It's awesome. This is a typical photo of the ocean. It's being super polluted by plastic right now, and I have some facts to talk about them. But for me, it's just not right for us to be polluting the ground. No one has a license to pollute. That's why I feel really passionately about it. No one was like, oh yeah, it's okay to do this and harm other wildlife and marine animals. So some facts about waste. The average person produces 4.4 pounds of waste per day. Now, you might not think that you're producing that per day, but that is also like when you're doing the spring cleaning, you're going through all your stuff, it amounts to all that. So just you alone, you're producing 1,600 pounds of waste per year. Multiply that by millions and millions of people. That's an issue, and that's why we have overflowing landfills. This fact really stuck with me when I first discovered it, is that the United States holds 5% of the world's population, but we're accountable for 33% of waste worldwide. So that's huge. And I don't think that's right for us to be sending our waste to third world countries for them to deal with, when it really should be, we should be held accountable for it. Another issue with landfills is that they're overflowing, but they also emit methane, which is 23 times more potent than CO2, which is just increasing the effects of climate change. Globally, we throw away 7.2 million tons of food waste every year, while 1 in 7 people go hungry. This, to me, I'm really passionate about, because I used to study food systems, and knowing how much food waste we waste just because of our aesthetic standards, or we don't have the systems in place. Meanwhile, we're overproducing food nonstop, and people still think the solution for stopping world hunger is producing more food, when it's not. We have to fix the systems that are currently in place because something is off and it's not working. Paper, people think that that's a better option for plastic, but it still has a negative effect. 90 million trees are cut down each year to create raw material for American paper mills. That's just in America alone. I really focus on plastic because it tends to contaminate everything, and it ends up in all forms of wildlife and all over the grounds, in our waterways and our oceans, because it's so light and it could just, fly anywhere essentially with the wind. And even touring recycling facilities, it contaminates the paper recycling, the cardboard recycling, the glass recycling, everything. So it's really bad. Over 1 million seabirds and 100,000 marine animals die every year from the ingestion of plastic. So just like the birds I was showing you, it's a huge issue. We see all the time now that more whales and dolphins are dying because of the ingestion of plastic, which isn't good. 90% of the waste in the world's ocean is plastic. And this fact really got me. By 2050, the ocean will have more plastic by weight than fish. Because when you think of plastic, it's super lightweight. So that means that, and fish weigh quite a bit, especially in the ocean. So the fact that we're going to have more plastic waste in the ocean by weight than by volume, because we're going to have way more volume of plastic in there because it's so light, that's just, it's not right that other creatures have to deal with our overconsumption problem. And the mass production of plastic started just 6 decades ago, and has generated over 8.3 billion tons of waste, 6 billion tons of plastic, 6.3 of that being waste, and only 9% has actually been recycled. So it's a huge issue. And if you look at a plastic bottle, you only get about 10% of that back, because with plastic recycling, it actually decycles. You don't get the same quality product back. Another question I get all the time is like, okay, like plastic sucks. What about compostable products? They're the answer, right? They are definitely not. They are still single use. And when they get thrown into the landfill, they emit methane, like I said, is 23 times more potent than CO2 because they're made from plants. And the reason why a lot of landfills, well, all the landfills generate a ton of methane is because of all the food waste, because food waste emits methane. And that's why it's good to compost, because then it diverts it into CO2, which is 23 times less potent. So that's why it's really good to compost. Bioplastics don't always break down properly in a compost facility. And if a compost facility is accepting them, they can't resell that compost back to organic farmers because it doesn't meet the requirements for organic certification. And the word compostable, just like recycling, is not regulated. So people could just throw that on whatever products they want, and they come back and say, oh, we're just encouraging people to recycle, and we're just encouraging them to compost, even though like their product isn't. And it's not really fixing the overall issue. And another stat about it is the compostable plastics actually, it takes more oil to produce them than a regular petroleum cup or utensil. So they're definitely not the answer. They were meant to be an alternative for like a last resort, but people are looking to them for a solution, but still a single-use item that a lot of energy and resources went into to make an item that will only be in your hands for a couple moments. So over the past couple of weeks, I've been inventorying the waste at VCET to figure out what you guys are confused about with recycling. You guys are very confused. So I made a little game of the stuff to hopefully educate you guys on what is recyclable, and then we'll go into the easy swaps that you could live a more waste-free lifestyle. But knowing the basis of why you want to reduce your overall waste is really important, because a lot of the things that you think are recyclable are not. So we have the solo cups, and also the coffee top, and then the standard like coffee cup. None of this is recyclable. The solo cups are plastic number 5, which is essentially styrofoam without the air. So it's really impossible for it to break down. It's a really nasty plastic. The coffee cups are lined with plastic, so that makes them non-recyclable. And even if it was just paper, it wouldn't be able to be recycled because it's contaminated by like the hot chocolate or anything like that. Or the coffee. I don't drink coffee, I'm a hot chocolate person, so I always refer to hot chocolate. These plastic tops are non-recyclable, and they are one of the biggest contaminants in the recycling facility. Because if you go to a facility, it's on a conveyor belt, and they have this big fan that blows the paper to one side for it to be recycled. And these are so lightweight that they get picked up and end up contaminating the paper recycling, making it harder for them to resell the recycled paper because it's a vendor market. Yeah.
So do they have like manual laborers like
sorting
this stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Is that how that happens?
Yeah, and in America they're just sorting out the recycling, whereas when I was in Sweden for vacation, I went and toured a dump, and their facility is so nice and clean, and they're just picking out the contaminants on the conveyor belt because they have such a rigorous system in place where you grow up with 7 different types of bins, because the more that you separate it, the higher quantity you have to like recycle it, the higher chance you have to recycle it. So in America, like the zero sort is actually worse. It leads to way more contamination.
Yeah, but so just hundreds of thousands of people are hired to sort the trash.
I don't know if it's 100,000 people, but yeah, in the Casella and Rutland, there's a couple dozen. But the conveyor belt's going so fast. It's definitely a really inefficient system. But it's the best that they could do because we want to make it easy to recycle. So that's why I really believe in reduction of waste. The more you know about the recycling system, the less you kind of want to add to it. This is another thing that people get confused on. This is your basic like iced coffee cup or whatever you have with the top, the straw, and the cup. Those are all trash. They're non-recyclable. Even if it was a plastic number 1, because those are tend to be a plastic number 5, it would have to be really cleaned out for it to be recycled. The yogurt cups, which people really like here, they're all trash. They're, again, a plastic, yeah.
So all these little things I've been throwing in there are trash?
Yeah, I've been picking them out.
That's mostly
Yeah, they're...
Do they have the recyclable sign on them? Or?
Yeah, but that's not regulated. Yeah, so they could throw it on.
So you put it in the recycling, but then it's contaminated, so it's not going to get recycled anyways.
Yeah, well, it's a plastic number 5.
Yeah.
So it's like the styrofoam without the air, like the nasty plastic. So that won't get recycled. Plus, it needs to be 2" by 2" too for anything to get recycled. So if you have business cards, your business cards are non-recyclable because it's not 2" by 2". That's why I try to get compostable business cards. Yeah, that's a lot, and the average person doesn't know this. I've toured many recycling facilities all across the United States. Bottle caps are non-recyclable. This is your standard beer cup when you go out drinking at the bars. Non-recyclable as well. Plastic number 5. These have been really annoying because people thought that these, I don't even know what they're called, like the click tops for beer. People thought that they were more environmentally friendly. They're not. They're actually worse. You're using way more material. It still ends up in the ocean, and mammals can still get in it and actually like really harm themselves. And it's way more dense, and it's a black plastic, and black plastic is never recyclable either. It's just like a mixture of all this nasty plastic. Yeah. And these, like, you always want to cut. These are definitely not the better alternative. Both of them really suck. If you're able to buy like the paper board for your beer and stuff, definitely go to that. But none of them are recyclable. What?
Growlers.
Or growlers, yeah. I'm not a beer drinker, so I forget about that stuff. People have still been putting a lot of plastic bags in the recycling bin at VCET. They are so bad for the recycling facility. They end up jamming the whole plant, and then they have to shut down. So you shouldn't be bagging your recyclables in it, and you shouldn't be putting plastic bags in the recycling. This is the first thing that's recyclable, the milk jug. So milk jugs are recyclable. You just have to kind of rinse it out. You don't want a lot of milk in there. But you could leave the cap on, and the cap will be recycled too. If the cap is off of it, it can't be recycled because it's too small for the facility. So it becomes trash. This is another greenwashing scheme. Both of these are non-recyclable. The cartons have way too many layers, and this is the same kind of container. It's called Tetra Packs, that box water. So box water is the biggest greenwashing scheme I have ever encountered. Yeah, because although it says that it's recyclable, all the like different parts that it's made of are technically recyclable, but when you smush it together, it becomes a non-recyclable product. So this has like 5 different layers. It has plastic, paper, cardboard, foil, and then more plastic, and then wax. So there's no way for the recycling facility to break it apart, and there's recycling programs going on for it, but the amount that you get back from it is like very slim to none. So if you are gonna have to get a drink that is single use, plastic is actually the better option for it. But this is a huge greenwashing scheme. At events, we get like box water and coconut water companies coming at us all the time to be sponsored, but we don't allow them to sponsor any of the events that we work with because of that. And just same with the general milk and juice carton, there's just way too many layers for them to be broken apart. These are actually recyclable. They're still not the best because, again, plastic's decycling. But if you can't escape your yogurt, you could get bulk yogurt. The like foil on top is trash, but you could actually recycle the top and the bottom if it's together. And these are actually great. I use them when we're food rescuing for shopping my bulk items. They're super convenient to bring to the store and fill up on all your bulk goods. And same with the plastic bottles. Again, like you'll only get about this much back if you recycle it. Same with that, yeah.
So what's the difference between this and is it just because it's bigger? So
bigger, but also these are usually a plastic number 1 or 2. So they could be recycled. So a plastic number 1 is the highest grade plastic. Plastic 2 is high density. So that, I think this one is a plastic number 2, but those are plastic number 5. So like the best way to explain it is styrofoam without the air. So it takes forever to biodegrade, and then also it's just non-recyclable.
So does it vary by brand?
Yeah, it could vary by brand and mainly the manufacturing plant that it's coming from as well too. But again, you won't get too much back from recycling that as well. But good question.
Like you won't get much material back from it?
Yeah, so like if you look at aluminum can, you're gonna get about 92% of that material back when you recycle it, and it won't lose quality. Whereas recycling plastic, the process that goes under it, like having to melt everything back, you lose a lot of material from that process, then it comes out to be a lesser quality product too. That's why it's not the best. These 2 things are actually recyclable, but you have to make sure that this is completely rinsed out, because if you have the nacho cheese, it's not gonna be able to get recycled. Same with the salsa can. but you have to take the top off. If you don't take the top off, then it won't be recycled. So it's really important to know that. But if that's 2 inch by 2 inch, those caps are metal, so they're actually recycled as caps, but they have to be broken apart. A good thing to go by is for recycling, you want the most like pure material. So if there's different materials mixed in with it, then it's not gonna get recycled.
Do you have to take the label off of the salt stick?
You don't have to take the label off, yeah. So during the process of recycling, it will actually be taken off. So, but good question.
So if there's any food particles on the recyclable?
You could have a little bit, but you like just do a little rinse.
How does that affect the system though?
It will just start contaminating. So it's single stream recycling. So if you're putting products in the recycling bin that have leftover food and liquid, that contaminate the paper and the cardboard that's in it, and then also contaminate more because the process for recycling is pretty intensive. So if they're getting a lot of products that are super contaminated, then they're just gonna toss them into the landfill. Because again, that conveyor belt's moving so fast, they don't have time to like take off the cap or like even rinse it off.
I imagine also must really gunk up the machinery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So they're pretty nasty when you tour them because there's so much wishful recycling going on and people just throwing whatever they want in there because they feel better because they're recycling, but it's actually way worse.
Just imagine there's only like 2% of the recycling that's actual legitimate recycling. Then. Like maybe probably less than 2%.
No, like Casella does do a really good job. What?
I mean, for my whole life, I've known none of these rules.
Yeah, no, most people don't.
So.
Yeah, like here I would say our recycling rate here is like at a 30 or 40% maybe, like to be nice about it, but I would say more like on the 30% because people just don't know. Well, that brings me, I wonder if this slide's gonna be next because, okay, there's like another slide that's coming up that's really annoys me too. So this is a kind of a trick question. So this is stainless steel cups and stainless steel, pots and pans. These are recyclable, but they're not home recyclable. So you can't throw them into your recycling bin at home. You have to bring them to the drop-off center to be mixed in with mixed metal recycling because it's a metal, it's not aluminum that they could easily recycle. So that, like I've been working with Clean Canteen because we work with them for so many events because they're like, oh, it's recyclable, it's recyclable. So people are throwing them in their home recycling and then they're not getting recycled. And all of their stuff is virgin stainless steel. So the fact that that is now gonna be gone, like it's such a precious metal. So make sure that you recycle it properly or reuse it as much as possible. With Amazon now, the shipping packets have been super big. These are non-recyclable, but you could reuse them multiple times. So in my Amazon settings, you could ask for more plastic-free shipping, but it doesn't always happen because it depends on the different vendor that they're using. So I'll get these once in a while and I'll save them and I send out a lot of stuff to like our clients or to my friends and I'll just reuse it and add a little note in there encouraging them to save it and reuse it their next time around because you could get dozens of uses out of them because they're a pretty gnarly material and durable. Junk mail is recyclable in Chittenden County too, so you could actually recycle your junk mail. They'll take all of that.
I've been doing that.
Yeah, there you go. You're doing something right.
90% of my mail is junk mail.
Yeah, me too. It's so bad. I don't know how to get rid of it.
Even if it has the little like plastic windows?
Yeah, they take it.
Just get a mean dog.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't get much mail.
Oh, that's awesome. I have a P.O. box and I get stuff with like magazines. You have a question?
I think they label this plastic envelopes, whatever, they say recyclable only drop off at store. Which store are they talking about?
Yeah, so that's like another greenwashing thing. It's kind of like with the plastic bag recycling at grocery stores. They try to get enough of it. So you have to get, they call it like a Gaylord. It's 5 feet by 5 feet and like 5 feet deep to actually recycle it. So you need that much material to try to get some recycling from it. But I don't really know of any facilities if I get all the packaging paper and the the plastic air bubbles, you could bring them back to FedEx and UPS if you have enough of it, and they'll actually reuse it for their packaging. So you could do that, but the mailers are really tricky. I haven't been able to like fully recycle them. Box wine is non-recyclable. So you would have to break it apart and then put the plastic bladder into the trash. But this has so much plastic coating and wax coating on the cardboard that the recycling facilities don't actually want them. Same with the CSA boxes. They're lined with so much wax that they can't get it off of the cardboard. These are meant to be reused multiple times to be durable, but at the end of its life, some compost facilities do take them because they could get the wax off during the process, but not too many do because it's just really hard to break down. But Boda box for box wine is actually recyclable. You just have to take out the bladder because it has no, there you go, it has no like sheeting over it. Cereal boxes, paper boards, cardboard, all that's recyclable, but you have to break it down. If you don't break it down, then the facility will not be able to grab it and take the plastic bag out as well. This has been another big contaminant in VCET recycling, aluminum foil. Aluminum foil is definitely not recyclable. It would need to be clean and in a 2-inch by 2-inch dense ball, which is really impossible to get when you're getting like something to take out. And at City Market, they have the paper and aluminum foil thing that they have going on for the sandwiches, so all that's trash. Aluminum foil is not recyclable. Wrappers, I've been seeing a lot of wrappers, granola bars, all that stuff in the recycling, definitely not recyclable. And paper towels. I don't know who the culprit is for the paper towels. Really?
I thought they were recyclable.
No, they're compostable now that we have composting here, but they're all trash if you don't have them. So try to reduce it. But yeah, I've been picking out those so many times per day. It's more people than just you because you're not here all the time. There's a lot. I thought that was funny. Shampoo bottles, those are plastic number 2, high density, so you can actually recycle them if you get all the stuff out. The travel size though, they're too small. And this type of plastic is probably a plastic number 7, which is all different types of plastic, so it's non-recyclable.
Is it only 1 and 2 that you can recycle?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So these hood things, these are too small, and those are non-recyclable. These are tricky because sometimes they're recyclable and sometimes they're not. They're really lightweight. Really, the recycling facility only wants like plastic water bottles, laundry detergent bottles, shampoo bottles, that really dense stuff that they could get more material on because these are so thin and fragile that they could barely get any material from. So that's kind of in the air. They say that they're taking them right now, but not the small raspberry, blueberry ones. The strawberry ones they're taking, but still you should just try to reduce that.
And then you'd have to like peel the labels off, right?
No, you could keep the label on for that, yeah. Because like through that is for the recycling process. It'll get damped and get taken off. This is the last one of the recycling game. But this is another confusing one, the throat coat. That box is recyclable if you break it down. But these are lined with plastic, so they're not compostable. They've been a huge contaminant in the compost facilities lately, and they're non-recyclable as well too. And there have been traces of plastic in the tea bags too, so they can't be thrown in the compost as well. There's compostable brands out there, but they have to be third-party certified, either PBI certified or D6400 ASTM certification. So it's really tough, and they make it seem like it's really good for the environment, but they're not. The good thing here is like Phoebe has been getting a lot of tea that has been left over from events, so we're reusing the tea that would have otherwise gotten discarded, but eventually like we want to get to more loose leaf and fully compostable stuff. So please do not throw these in the compost. I've been picking a lot out. They're really bad. If you tear it slowly, you'll see all the plastic.
And so that's true for all tea bags?
For most of them, yeah. Like all the ones in here are. So I sampled all the ones in here.
Are not compostable.
Are not compostable and non-recyclable, and then the foil ones are definitely trash.
Even if they're not silver on the inside, if they look like paper?
Yeah, it looks like paper. If you
Lipton
slowly tear it and if you feel it, yeah,
Okay.
it's tricky. It sucks. The compost facilities are not pleased with it. This I've seen a couple times in the recycling box, and it's lined with plastic, so it's non-recyclable. So, how do you guys feel? Do you feel like a cat?
I just can't believe there's so much misperception about this. Like, so people can just slap a recycling label on any piece of plastic and encourage the public to recycle these things, even though 80 to 90% of what we put in the recyclable bin is actually non-recyclable.
Yeah.
And presumably messes up the whole process when it gets to the plant. It's incredibly weighty.
Yeah.
Like,
And there's no like laws on the packaging either. So that's why you really have to go for compostable stuff, the third-party certification. because people were saying on compostable products, oh, like it's made with plants, so 70% of it's made with plants, then 30% of it's made with plastic, so then it won't break down in the compost facility. It's hard. That's why a lot of the compost facilities are no longer taking compostable products. And same with recycling. There's been threats that they won't take recycling at certain
How are they
events.
still open?
It's hard. Casella spends so much money on the recycling program, and it was made to seem like recycling is free or like low waste or low cost, but they're really taking the burden of it, and that's why I got into this position, because I don't think it's fair that they have to take the burden and not get paid properly for all of our like, consumer-based lifestyle products. But now, hopefully you're changed.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost like I shouldn't even have a recyclable bin. I should, that's.
Well,
not
if you
even like
have, if you have like aluminum cans, those are the best ones to do. Even glass now, because of how heavy it is, it's really hard to transport. So that now isn't getting recycled into another glass product. It's getting recycled into cement or fiberglass. So really, it's like the metals that are the best to recycle, but you want to reduce waste on all levels. And this is how I got started. This is my little timeline. I have many slides that I'll send to you guys afterwards too, so you can copy all these notes. But inventory your waste, that's what I started off with. After I saw Beth Terry, I went home and I went crazy, just inventorying all of the plastics, the single-use, durable, reusable stuff. Went into my single-use glass items, metals, everything like that, and I actually put it onto a spreadsheet. So doing that stuff. And then I went in and listed out 3 things that I could easily eliminate. So my first things were the granola bars. Like I could definitely reduce that, and I started making, shopping in the bulk section, getting trail mix, and then making like little energy date balls because I had a food processor. Was able to do that, and also just stopped buying grapes and cherries because those came in a plastic container. So there was things I could easily swap off right off the bat. So that's why I always recommend people to do. And even if you want to do a slow phase out with, your yogurt cups. Like if you're buying 10 a week, maybe next week you only buy 6 and then maybe switch to the more bulk items. Then comes the swap out part of it. I started in my bathroom because I thought that was easier to do because everything just stays there. You don't have to remember to bring everything with you. So once your plastic toothbrush is done, you could get a compostable toothbrush. Once your shampoo and stuff is done, you could get a refillable shampoo and conditioner. And same with your razor. I have this, I'll go into it in the bathroom section, but I have this awesome stainless steel razor that has worked better than any other plastic razor I have had. And it cost me $20, came with 12 razor blades, and I haven't even used all 12 and I've had it for 3 years. So it's really awesome, great investment. And the thing is, like when you swap it out, a lot of this stuff is way more durable than the plastic thing. So it might be a slight more increase in your like first initial buy, but it pays for itself really, really fastly. Then I tell people to collect your waste, because if you start collecting your waste right away, I've seen people get really overwhelmed and discouraged because they wake up to how much waste they actually are producing. So doing the inventory, and you could also inventory it when like you're going through this process. Like I had a notepad by my trash and like was writing down everything that I was throwing away, so I could easily know what I could give up and swap out. But collecting the waste that happened after like a year and a half of living the lifestyle, and now I've been collecting my waste ever since then. But that I definitely recommend doing a little bit after, and start with like a week, and then you go to a month, and then you just keep on adding on. I love challenging myself. I think it's a lot of fun, so I definitely recommend it. Composting, this could be first for people, but I used to live out in Tahoe, and it was a big like Bexar County, and we couldn't have backyard composting. I traveled a lot for work, so I wasn't doing at home like warm composting underneath the sink, and then there was no compost facility. So I actually just started composting a couple years ago when I moved back to Vermont. And there's so many options here that you could compost by doing the pickup services, like No Waste Compost is $16 a month, and you get picked up like 2 5-gallon buckets a month, and then they actually clean it for you, which is really nice. Right now I've just been doing drop-off. It costs $150 to do, but the hours are really weird. So I usually suggest a compost pickup service or backyard composting. We have a great environment for composting in Vermont, so I recommend that. And also you could do like an under the sink worm method and just have some dirt and worms eating at your compost, but that's mainly just fruit and veggies. Here we have industrial, so you could compost everything.
Wait, do you mean actually like having dirt and worms like under your sink?
Yeah, in a tub. That's what a lot of my friends did.
I've
yeah.
never been.
And they just, yeah.
Really? Yeah.
It like, they eat everything super fast and you're like, holy shit. That like, we went through like,
Yeah.
so much food like so quickly.
Yeah, they're awesome. What?
I said I have chickens, they get everything.
Well, yeah, your method's really awesome. You're living zero waste. All right, so this is some of the stuff that I go into, and I'll send this to you guys, but most of my stuff I get from packagefreeshop.com. It's so much easier to live zero waste now than it was 6 years ago when I first got started, because I was buying stuff from all these different vendors. And Package Free Shop, you could actually get everything right online. But Goodwill has a ton of stuff now too. I get a lot of my stuff from Goodwill because they do a lot of overstock stuff. I've gotten probably like half my stuff now from them. But I have refillable face lotion, stainless steel tongue scrapers, silk floss, that's compostable, refillable hand soap, which you could get from Luna Roma just down the street on Pine, and that's local. Compostable toothbrush, again, that's kind of like the easiest thing that you could switch over. Plain products is what I use for my shampoo, conditioner, and lotion. It's all refillable. It comes in a aluminum bottle that you just use and you send it back. It's a really great method, and it actually works because when I first started living zero waste, I was shampooing my hair with brown sugar and baking soda, and then my family did an intervention on me, wondering if I needed money for shampooing my hair. So it's really nice to actually have products that work now. And like I was saying, the stainless steel razor is amazing, and it looks awesome, and then it's fully recyclable after the end of its life. You have to send it back to Albatross because since it doesn't reach the 2" by 2" requirements, and it's metal recycling, so you can't put in at-home recycling. They just get a whole big tub up and then recycle it themselves. It's really cool, and all that's free to do. Kitchen stuff, this is probably the hardest one for people to switch over because this is part of your everyday life. The beeswax, if you haven't grabbed any, beeswax is kind and donated it. So it's awesome for everything. I use it for when I'm going hiking. I use it for putting over all of my containers if I haven't found my jars, and it keeps bread super soft. It's awesome. Reusable bags, regular and bulk. I actually have a ton of my zero waste stuff back here afterwards that you guys could check out. But are you raising your hand?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, beeswax too is designed that when you're done using it after like a year, it's a fire starter. So
Yeah.
you can just burn it.
It's one of the best fire starters, and I recommend it for using it as a fire starter than throwing it into the compost bin because compost facilities don't really like to get the cotton, so it's better to use it as a fire starter. Good job, Sam.
Thanks.
I love beeswax. They're awesome. Bulk section, we're so fortunate to have City Market here. And I know that City Market has a higher price tag for people, but on Thursdays, they have 10% off all bulk items. And if you do their volunteer program and do 4 hours a month, you get 12% off. So I only shop there on Thursdays for my bulk stuff, and I get 22% off my bulk items. So it makes it really inexpensive, and their bulk stuff is pretty cheap as well too. Jars and containers, I reuse all the jars I get. I limit how many glass jars I get per month now that I found out about the discouraging facts about glass recycling. So I only get my kimchi and local cranberry juice every once in a while, and I'll reuse those containers for something else. Bamboo kitchenware, like this stuff here, was I got at Goodwill for just a couple bucks because it's overstock stuff and it's fully compostable. It's not treated. And this is my water vessel cleaner, which is amazing because it's really hard to clean water bottles and all the mason jars every once in a while. So have those. And then my sponge, I love this. This is called like a Swedish sponge, and it's made of vegetable fiber, and it's fully compostable afterwards, but I use it for cleaning around my house too. They're really, really awesome. And yeah, so I have a little bit of everything, all my string bags. This has been a savior for all my beets, carrots, and lettuce. It's called a veggie bag, and it's only made of cotton. I don't know how they do it, but you damp it and you put it in your crisp section, and it keeps carrots crisp for weeks. It's so awesome when I stock up on carrots. This is one of the best investments that I ever did, and this is from Package Free that I ended up buying new. But this was from a juice bar that I went to, and I still had it, and I just reuse it for my bulk stuff. And all my bulk bags. This is actually a dumpster find from one of the events we worked. The artist relations people went by our method for shopping zero waste for the event, but then threw these all out afterwards. So we were picking up the trash, and they were like, oh, these are really great. So we all went home with a ton of these. So they ended up getting reused, but it was a bummer. They went by all of our strategies, but then like didn't really take it home with them. And these are all the other bulk ones. This one I got when I was just starting off 6 years ago. So they last for a really long time, just pretty cool. And then going into my everyday life, I actually forgot my stainless steel container in the fridge and my stasher bag, but I'll bring those out later. This stuff is, I've had this is my first purchase ever. It's my bamboo utensils, and it's falling apart right now.
Exactly the same color. Is that from Follow My Heart?
It's to-go wear.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I like bought it online like 6 years ago, and I lost the fork, so I just added a regular fork in here because it doesn't really make a difference. It doesn't need to be uniform. And threw a straw in. I have to sew it, but it's had years of saving plastic utensils. This I use a lot when I'm at events because I like to be hands-free when I'm working events, so I actually don't carry around a water bottle with me. So I use this cup and clip it onto my belt loop. And then this is a collapsible fork, spork that you could break down, and I throw it in here and then clip it on here. So then I'm still waste-free when I'm working. I have just lost way too many water bottles working events and like talking to vendors and stuff. These are compostable Band-Aids. They work pretty well, except like on your hands, but no, like Band-Aids really work well on hands, I would say. And I reuse this, like I got some new tea from my herbalist, and she gave me all the stuff in a paper bag instead of plastic, and now I just reuse this when I go to the bulk section. So again, just using what you have is really important. I feel like people get addicted to throwing things out because it gets really satisfying for some reason. I think that's just like the society that we live in. So trying to reuse and be held accountable for your waste helps you realize the effect that you're having. And these are compostable hair ties too.
What?
Yeah.
Cool.
So you can check it out. A lot of this stuff is on packagefreeshop.com. This is my hanky. Don't touch this one because I'm using it. But I use this all the time for at the mountain, like right now because it's like runny nose season. And for my napkins, I have so many of these, and they're really great.
And you just have to like weigh everything before you fill it at City Market or whatever.
Yeah, so on this, you could see I have the tear rate on it, like 0.56. So I just rate it. It's really easy to do the bulk section there. Make sure you write it down, and then I just take pictures of the items and then just tell the clerk. But usually I don't use these because sometimes they'll forget to tear it. So you always want to remind them. The City Market's really good. It's the best place for bulk shopping that I've ever had. But these don't add much weight, and the tear rate's on them too, like 0.7 ounce.
Where's the scale in City Market?
Right in the corner, typically.
There's a few of them in the bulk section.
Yeah, there's a few like on
But
either
like
side.
In pounds, not ounces, actually, for SB Market. So you do the tear in pounds, not ounces.
Well, yeah, because it gives you like 0.75. Yeah, that's what's on there. And it's, it all depends. But that's all I had for like a general overview of waste-free living and recycling. Do you guys have any questions? Yeah?
Stuff that goes down the drain. So, like cleaning stuff, what should we be looking for if I wanted to clean my sink or toilet or something like that?
So I used to make my own with like vinegar, watered down vinegar and essential oils, but now there's this company out called Blue Land, which is awesome. They have little tablets that you could buy. It's concentrated, it's non-toxic, so it's really good, and it works so much better than my vinegar solutions, especially for bathroom. Like the showers, it was just really hard to scrub off all that. So it's $2 for a tablet, and then you could just use the containers that you already have. Because the thing about all the spray containers, they're a pretty complex container, but it's made for like a one-time use that lasts you for a couple months, but you could just reuse them. Because I caught myself being a hypocrite. I ended up buying like their whole set with containers. It's like, oh, I could have just used my own containers. But yeah, it's been a great solution because they have a bathroom cleaner, multi-purpose, and glass. So I recommend them now. But you can make your own. It just depends. I don't know. The shower stuff, like, just always never really cleaned it that well. Any other questions?
What was the name again? You said
Blue Land. Yeah, they just came out 2 years ago, and I've been using them all the time. And people commented on how nice things were. Like I just did a deep clean of my friend's house that I'm crashing at, and it looks really, really good. So I recommend it, and that was a cool thing. Again, it's so much easier now to live zero waste than it was a couple years ago when I was doing all these experiments on myself and my friends. Yeah, so thanks, you guys. Yeah?
Have you worked with any schools or presented at any schools?
I have not. I get asked to do, well, I do UVM and Champlain a lot, so colleges, and I actually teach some classes at my old college too about sustainability. But for little kids, I haven't done it yet. I want to. My friends teach out like the Sustainability Academy as well. So yeah, I'll have to like make it a little bit more friendly.
I could totally picture little kids coming and learning and then going home and bossing their parents around.
Yeah, it's so true.
Enjoy that, yeah.
Yeah, we had at one of the events that we had out in Colorado, we had these trash pickers that we have all of our teammates going around with. These little kids got so inspired by them and started picking up trash all over the place. And I got an email from the mom that they had a trash picking party, on the beach. So that made me really happy that they got inspired and they were able to get, like, they sent me all these bags and bags and bags full of trash that they did, and they all have their own trash pickers now. Yeah, it makes me happy. Yeah, kids definitely have a big say in what their parents do. Yeah, this is a overview I could go into really detail about, but I figured it's best to learn the basics, and I'm always here if you guys have any questions. We created a Slack channel, Sustainability. I haven't been posting too much on it just yet because I wanted to teach this workshop first, but when I see stuff, not being recycled, yeah. Yeah, reach out. I'm here. I feel like I'm approachable. I try to inspire people and not preach. So maybe I don't do it, but who knows? Thanks, you guys.
I think that was like the most amount of information in one lunch and learn we've ever. Everyone's like processing.
Yeah, it was funny watching your guys' faces.
It's so usable too. Like I was really surprised at some of the things that I thought I was doing something good by trying to recycle.
Yep.
Yeah, wishful recycling is really bad.
And I feel like you were mentioning to me, it's constantly changing. Like the things that they can recycle and find value in the like recycling marketplace, that always is changing, and so like you just need to like stay up to date on what's current.
Yeah, and even with the zero waste movement, I forgot to mention it, it's becoming so consumer based, and this was a purchase that I totally didn't need to get, but I got so excited. It's like the final straw. It's like so useless in my eyes, and it's so many different materials. Like this is non-recyclable afterwards. It's made from recycled products, but straws are just like the tip of the issue, and I have one straw that's all I need. But I caught myself when all this new gear was coming out, like I was buying it. It's like, no, you want to get stuff that's like really versatile. This is really bulky on my keychain. Like I don't use it ever. So I try to be realistic with this stuff. It's like, yeah, you don't really need, oh, sorry, my thing is like super messy.
I feel like you could get your
put
own
that back.
like your own Netflix show, in condo, but like
Yeah, we're gonna be doing more segments, like now that the media room's up, 'cause I'm doing lunch and learn tomorrow. Is that already tomorrow? Yeah. And then Byron was kind enough to like videotape this for me so I could see like where I could get the presentation skills a little bit more dialed in. Yeah, thanks you guys. Yeah.
Good morning. So like I'm thinking about my apartment and like all the people who live there, and when I look at our recycling, there is definitely a lot of like smaller containers, like there are a ton of like the small berry containers.
Yeah.
I remember you mentioning that like when caps were put onto larger bottles, they could be recycled. If you like put smaller pieces of plastic or containers inside of larger plastic.
No. Okay, so what happens is with the.
It's like trying to figure out they're not. My roommates are not. My roommates are not going to buy just like not buying blueberries anymore.
Yeah, well, like so unless you get like the Gaylord like box, then that's the only way. But then that'll probably take you years to fill up.
In your whole living room.
Yeah.
We talked about this, just the economics of recycling. There is no, at least not to my knowledge, there is no actual recycling facility in the US. They sort it here, and we ship it off to China and India. And so after 2008, when all the markets collapsed, the price for recycled everything, plastic, paper, it just has gone to the floor. So when you hear about the garbage patch in the ocean, that is literally our recycled stuff that got sent to China and India. They're like, well, I don't want it. Can't do anything with it. Can't sell it. So where does it go? It just gets dumped.
And the world oceans, yeah.
As much as it's helpful to recycle, the economics of recycling, especially when you think of the carbon footprint of shipping and the stuff back, it's just, reduce the uses.
Yeah, I'm definitely not like, go recycle everything. And I think it's harmful now that we partner with TerraCycle a lot, but they're getting people to think, oh, you could still keep on consuming all like your granola bars and chip bags and stuff because it could be recycled now. And that's just not the answer because they're getting recycled into these backpacks and like wallets that people don't really need. So it's really like reducing. But can I get a picture with all you guys beforehand?
Yes.